All right, coach, coming off a one-game matchup against Harvard, 5 goals in the third period. Um, Turning your attention back to conference play with a tough matchup against UNH home and home. Just want to get your thoughts heading into the weekend.
Yeah, we're certainly, shifted gears here. We had three non-conference games after the break, and now we get into, you know, the meat of the schedule here, the men's league. I think the second half of the season, but New Hampshire is going to be a very formidable opponent, no question about it. I think they're getting very good goaltending. By far, I think the strength of their team lies within their defense. They have five senior defensemen, and that's a lot of experience back there, and they're very good. Gagne, Jensen, Heward, this really, really good defenseman back there. And then up front, I mean, Conmy's line with Leclerc and Devlin, they've been scoring a ton. Lavins has been a really, really good 200-foot player for them. Ring has come into his own. So it's going to be it's always a tough game up at the Wit. And this year, the way they're playing, we're going to have to be at the very top of our game if we want to be successful.
Awesome. We'll open up for questions. Joe, let's have you start us off.
Okay, thanks. Cav, it's nice to be back with actually doing a game. This will be fun.
Glad to have you back, Joe.
It's only been 2 months. I think.
Glad you're on time today, too.
Well, last week I had to work playing music for the Lord off a computer, so I couldn't do that. How is Hugh Larkin doing? Is he available this weekend?
I don't think so. He hasn't practiced this week, so I believe he's going to be out again.
Upper body, lower body?
Lower.
What did it mean for a kid like Cartman to take the ice? I mean, I know he's practiced hard and there just hasn't been a spot for him, and you were able to put him in a couple different places. How did you like his work?
I thought he did a good job. We spot shifted him in different spots, and I thought, especially early on in the Harvard game, we had some guys that really weren't going, and he came in and spelled them. And, like Bobby Knight used to say, the best motivator sitting on the bench. And when you get sat for a shift or two and someone comes in and plays like Carpy did, you wake up in a hurry. And I think he gave us some great minutes against Harvard.
The Muldowney, Shandor, Richard line has just worked terrifically well. What was it about them that made you put them together in the beginning of the year?
Well, you're saying Muldowney, Shandor, and we have Richard.
Richard, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we just put them together, Joe, the second half. Like they haven't been together until we played Alaska. I believe we ended this with Shandor, with Tattle, and Frazier.
Yeah, that's right. My bad.
And the one thing we thought was, like, all three are centermen, and it was tough because we had Joey Muldowney centering, I think, in that BC game, Richard and Percival maybe.
Right.
And Joey's not a center, so it really wasn't fair to him. And we lost a lot of draws with that line. And when you're losing draws consistently, you're chasing the game instead of attacking. And so that was why we kind of moved Hudson, because Hudson is a center, and they've seemed to work pretty well together.
Thanks, Cav.
Randy, we'll jump over to you.
Thanks, Colin. Good morning, Cav. Good to see you.
Morning, Randy. Nice to see you.
So the 5-goal outburst against Harvard. Obviously, the third period was tremendous, but at the end of the second period, Caden Shahan shot down the ice, drew a penalty. You obviously scored on the power play, but just his speed and that energy play, what did that do for the entire team for that third period?
Yeah, I mean, that was a great play, and that's been something he's been doing all year long. I think what was more important was us executing on the power play and scoring. That really energized our bench going in, to the third period, and then we follow that power play with a goal on the very next shift. Then we scored again on the next shift. So I I think it was the power play goal that really ignited us.
The first two goals you scored funneled from the blue line. I think you had three that funneled from the defense down low to forwards in front of the net. Shahan, the redirect on the second one. How important are your defensemen, and what are you seeing from guys like Carabin, who I believe has scored in two straight now, and Scott being able to get the puck to the net through screens?
Well, I just think that it's a hallmark of any good offensive team. Their defensemen get pucks down. They don't necessarily have to be on net, but you got to find sticks, or you got to put them in an area where we're going to retrieve it, as opposed to it getting blocked by that first wave. If your shots are getting blocked, I mean, it's just disheartening. You work so hard, you kick it to the point, and if it gets blocked, and now the forwards have to back check, that gets old quick as a forward. So it's something that we work on, and I'm sure every team in the country works on getting pucks down past that first layer.
And finally, from me, Tung. He only had to make 15 saves, and he gave up 2 early, but he made some big ones in the second. What does it say about him to win a game that he gives up 2 quick and doesn't face a high volume? I think he limited them to 15 shots, but he hung in there and bounced back and gave you the chance for that comeback.
Yeah, I think it was again a really good game by him. The first 2 shots that they take go in, and sometimes goaltenders will crumble on that, and he didn't. He made a really big save at the end of the first period to keep it at 2-0. Made a couple in the second, and then in the third they had a little bit of a push, but we had a 2-goal cushion, so it wasn't probably as nerve-wracking maybe as it was when you're down 2-0 and you don't want to let that third one in. So I was really happy with the way he bounced back and played.
I know I said that was my last one. I thought of one more. I think Shandor is on 99 points. I know it's a round number, but it would be something I don't think, and Colin could check me on this. I don't know that there's been a 100-point scorer in the Hockey East era. So
Yakum did.
Yakum, thank you. Just your thoughts on his career as a whole, and what that'll mean to get that 100th. Be the second.
I just think he's the epitome of a UConn hockey player. From the day he's got here, he's just been nothing but positive influence in the locker room. He's a kid that started on the 4th line, got some penalty kill minutes. By the end of his freshman year, he's on the power play, and from that point on, he's been a guy that's been a 15 to 20 minute player for us every single game, and he's an exemplary human being is what he is. And I take 100 of them.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Daniel, we'll jump over to you.
Is Larkin's injury something that you're just taking week to week and seeing how it goes with practice, or do you anticipate he could be out a bit of an extended period of time?
I don't know. I'm hoping that he can get back and practice next week. Certainly, but it's one of those kind of lingering injuries that I don't think it's Dan anything, year-ending injury, but it's probably a week-to-week injury. It's not day-to-day. It's probably week-to-week.
Then in goal, obviously, Callum's numbers jump off the page, but with Ty now back, how do you anticipate using that position and deploying those two?
Well, this is Ty's first week of practice back, and he's looked pretty good, and he's certainly a good goaltender, and I really think it's a strong position to be in when you have 2 goaltenders that can win you Hockey East games. So we'll take it game by game, but it's nice knowing, and this is the first time all year that we've had both of them healthy. So it's nice knowing that we have an option for both of them to play.
Then Caden's got 2 goals in his last 2 games. Obviously had huge numbers in the USHL, leads the team in shots. Do you see this being the start of something for him scoring wise? Is he doing something that could maybe lead to more goals?
I think, as you said, he's been getting shots on net, and that's what he has to keep doing. He has to have the mindset of I've got to get 4 to 5 shots on net every game. And if he does that, pucks will go in for him.
Natalie, we'll jump over to you.
All right. Good morning, Coach. So excited to be back with you this weekend.
Yeah, good morning,
Um,
Kelly.
I actually wanted to ask you about Trey Scott. It seems like throughout the course of the season, he kind of had, a point here, point there, but the last game he had 3 assists. I guess, what allowed him to be so impactful in that game in particular? Was there anything that really kind of facilitated that success?
Natalie, he didn't play the first couple games of the year, and I give Tyler Helton a lot of credit because he was the one who really pushed to bring him here to UConn. I didn't know much about him as a player. I had never even seen him play, with the exception of video. I didn't see him play live, but Tyler had seen him and really, really liked him as a player. And when he came here, he just kept practicing so well. We said we got to get him into a game, and he's never looked back. He got into a game. He's got so much poise with the puck. He's patient, and that's the reason why he had 3 assists the other night. He was patient, and he didn't do anything, revolutionary. He got pucks down to the net, and they happen to get tipped and go in. So, but he's got a great feel offensively, and he's quarterbacking one of the power play units now. And the hockey IQ is really, really high, which couple that with a good skater and good skill, you're going to have a good hockey player there. And he certainly has proved that this year.
Would you say it took him a little time to kind of find, I don't know if it's his groove or his confidence throughout the first half? And, what will the second half look like for him? You think he's going to emerge?
Well, I think he already has emerged. I think, I don't know. I think he's always been a confident kid. I think it was us giving him the opportunity. And once we gave him the opportunity, he's taken the ball and he's run with it.
I also, with the UNH series, I feel like this is always a fun one to talk about on the broadcast side. You started your career, or Mike Souza, both at UConn 2013 to 2015. How much of a friendship has there been established over the years? And do you like playing against each other this time?
Well, I've known Mike, when he was a player. I recruited him unsuccessfully way back when. And then, then we actually worked at camp one summer when he was still at UNH. He was still a student at UNH, and I got to know him a little bit there. Definitely had stayed in touch. We had a lot of mutual friends. I knew his agent very, very well. And then when he came available, when I got the job here, he was one of my first phone calls. It was great working with him. He was right here on the ground floor when we started. And then when the opportunity came for him to go back to New Hampshire, I totally understood, that being his alma mater. And I'm really happy for – it's not easy. It's not easy to follow Dick Umili, who had so much success at New Hampshire, and, Mike having played for him. And it's really – I think it'd be really tough. I was in that position as an assistant coach for, Jerry York for so long, and I always thought, God, if I ever took over for him, it would be different because your relationships with the players are different as an assistant coach to a head coach. So that transition, I didn't really envy him having to do that. And, I think it was probably tough his first couple of years, but you've seen now that he's been able to kind of put his fingerprints on the program, how much success they've been having. And I'm always rooting for him, except for this weekend.
Fair enough. Speaking of travel with your team, you don't get to travel, too much, but you went to Milwaukee over the holiday
Right.
break. Was there anything you did away from the rink with the team that was kind of a fun, like bonding moment?
We have some great supporters in Jim and Jane Mitchell. We have an award named after them, and also Dave and Ann Fusciante. They came out with us, and they sponsored a dinner for us the night before we played Alaska, and it was a off the charts dinner at the steakhouse that they brought us to. So that was a fun night. But other than that, there's not a lot of time, Natalie. We're all flying out there the day after Christmas. We all get out there about 8 o'clock. The next day we're practicing. We had the dinner, and then we played a game at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So it was a very, very quick turnaround for us. So it wasn't like we got to go to the Pabst Blue Ribbon bottling plant. So
That would have been fun.
go see. My players didn't even know. I said, this is where Happy Days in Laverne and Shirley was. They had no idea what I was talking about. You probably don't either, Natalie.
I was gonna say, you know what? I don't, but I don't want
Yeah.
to expose myself there.
Yeah.
But
Camille
no,
Schmagel.
thank you so
Right,
much.
exactly.
Cav, that was one of my old man references that Randy would look at me like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we'll go Cooper and then Joe. You can wrap us up.
All right.
Sounds good. I got to be honest, I have no idea either.
I'm
Coach,
not surprised.
Coach Cooper, nice to meet you. I just wanted to ask about one of your other defensemen in John Spetz, and for a young group, what has he meant to that group?
He is Cooper. I was so glad when he decided to come back as a fifth year senior, both he and Hudson, because of all the players I've had. I don't think there's a player that's more of a student of the game than John Spetz. He is literally another coach on the ice in practice and in games. He understands concepts in the game as well as anybody I've been around. And he's very good at being a liaison between the coaching staff and some of our younger players in helping them comprehend some of them. It's not like it's rocket science, but still, when you're a young player, you might not understand the idiosyncrasies and the little things, details that come with playing it within a system. And John's very good at breaking it down for them and maybe putting it in a language they understand that sometimes we can't as older coaches.
And then just, big picture here, you look at the league and you've got, maybe 8, 9, 10 teams all in a similar pairwise situation with basically, most of the league to go, and that includes you. I mean, when you look at the way the league is right now and what's ahead of you and all of these teams, I mean, what comes to mind for you?
I think it's fantastic. I told the team that the other day. Of 14 of our 16 games, I think Vermont's 26th in the pairwise. So 14 of our 16 games are essentially against top 25 pairwise teams. And 13 of them are against teams in front of us, I think. So, or maybe 11 are against teams. I forget what the number is. I think maybe Quinnipiac, UMass, Northeastern, but they're all in the top 25. The only ones maybe below us right now. But I think it's a great position to be in. I would not want to be in a position, and there are a few teams I was looking at that are 14, 16, 17 in the pairwise, and they don't have one game against teams ahead of them. I mean, that's basically what you're saying is we got to go play 800% here down the stretch or win our tournament to get in. And that's a very hard position to be in. We're in a position where, listen, I don't know if we can win all our games, but you expect to win the next one. And if you have that mindset, and you're playing against opponents like we're going to play against, it puts you in a great position to make the national tournament. You control your own destiny as far as making the national tournament.
Last one for me, kind of with that context in mind, you've played 18 games
right
at this point. When you look at the first 18 big picture, what is kind of the number one or number two things that you take away as you look towards the second half?
The takeaway is our strength of schedule is 7th in the country right now. And then I've already told you what we have coming up. So it's by far going to be a top 10 schedule. As far as strength of schedule goes, could be top 5 when it's all said and done. But that being said, I want to be playing our best hockey, in February and March. And it's building, and it's weekends like this that help you build towards playing your best hockey in February and March. So right now, we're just 100% focused on the Wildcats and playing to the very best of our ability on Friday night.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Sure.
All right, Joe, you can wrap us up.
All right, thanks. Cav, you saw Jared Whale when he was with Alaska Anchorage. he took the loss, but he made 40 saves. What do you see on him that makes him a good goaltender and has helped New Hampshire, especially with that, as you said, that veteran defense in front of him?
Yeah, Vince Stiletti reminded me of that this week, that he was the goaltender. It's funny, when I was an assistant coach, I could remember all that stuff. When you're a head coach, I can't remember who played against us last week, but Vince reminded me that he played against us in Alaska, and then he was dynamite in that game. That was the all-student game here, and I felt like we played extremely well in that game, and we had a hard time getting pucks by him, and we were fortunate to get one by him in overtime to win that game. But he's a super athletic. He's got good size. He competes, and he's played a lot of quality minutes for New Hampshire this year. So we're going to have to, like all good goaltenders, and we'll face a bunch of them down the stretch here. You have to get traffic in front of them. I mean, it's a broken record, but you have to take their eyes away. You have to get volume, and you're going to have to get quality looks and expect to get rebounds and second chance opportunities if you want to be successful. Because if he gets clean looks, he's going to make saves. It's plain and simple.
Thank you.